The alien woman turned and teased, and I couldn't look away. Whispers across stars. The iridescent waters of Aquarius 7 rippled beneath the transport ship as Ellie and Nash prepared for descent. 3 years of specialized xenobiology training had led to this moment. First contact with the Marathi, an aquatic species whose bioluminescent communication had fascinated Earth scientists for decades. Final approach to floating Station Alpha, announced the pilot. Dr. Nash, please prepare for docking procedures. Elian gathered his research equipment, heart racing with anticipation. His reflection in the viewport showed a man transformed by purpose. Dark hair, cropped short for practicality, eyes bright with curiosity, the blue Science Division uniform crisp despite the journey. Remember, his mentor had warned, the Marathi perceive intentions through bioelectric fields. They'll know what you're feeling before you do. The docking clamps engaged with a metallic shutter. Beyond the airlock waited Station Alpha, a marvel of engineering that floated above the endless oceans of Aquarius 7. And somewhere inside, the Marathi delegation. The station commander greeted him with a firm handshake. They've been waiting. Apparently you're quite the curiosity. Elian followed her through corridors lined with observation windows that revealed the turquoise expanse below. They entered a chamber where the floor itself was transparent, revealing the ocean beneath. That's when he saw her. Naya emerged from the waters below, rising through a specialized tunnel that connected the ocean to an elevated pool within the chamber. Her form was humanoid yet distinctly alien, skin the color of twilight with patterns that pulsed with soft blue light. Her movements were graceful, deliberate as she surfaced. Dr. Nash, the commander said, meet Chief Scientist Naya of the Southern Marathi Collective. Naya's eyes met his, large, silver-flecked and intensely observant. She spoke in perfectly accented English, a testament to the Marathi gift for languages. Your journey was long, she said, not a question, but a statement of fact. Your energy patterns show fatigue, yet excitement overpowers it. Elian stepped forward, extending his hand before remembering the briefing. The Marathi considered unexpected physical contact intrusive. Naya tilted her head, amusement flickering across her bioluminescent patterns. Instead of showing offense, she surprised him by extending her own hand in return, a gesture she must have learned for this meeting. I apologize, Elian said, hesitating. No need, she replied, her voice melodic. I've studied human customs. This is how you establish trust, yes? Through touch? Their hands met. Her skin was cool and smooth against his palm, sending an unexpected shiver up his arm. The patterns along her forearm brightened momentarily. Interesting, she said with what appeared to be a smile. Your bioelectric field just fluctuated. The commander cleared her throat. I'll leave you two to get acquainted. Dr. Nash, your research protocols have been approved by both governments. After she left, Naya moved closer, her silver eyes studying him with undisguised curiosity. You're not what I expected, she said, her patterns shifting to a deeper blue. What did you expect? Elian asked. Naya's expression turned playful. Someone less responsive. She made a gentle rippling motion with her hand. Your species fascinates me. So contained, yet your emotions radiate like thermal currents. Elian realized she was teasing him, testing his reactions, and despite all his preparation, he found himself completely unprepared for Naya of the Marathi. Depths of understanding. The research vessel hummed quietly as it navigated through the luminescent coral formations of Aquarius 7's mid-level waters. Inside the pressurized observation dome, Elian adjusted his equipment while Naya monitored the vessel's course with gentle gestures through a liquid-based interface. 2 weeks had passed since their first meeting, and Elian had learned to read the subtle shifts in Naya's bioluminescent patterns. Bright pulses for excitement, slow waves for contemplation, and quick flickers when she found something amusing, which happened often around him. We approached the boundary of the cerulean trench, Naya announced, her patterns shifting to a deeper indigo. Few humans have witnessed what lies below. Elian moved to stand beside her at the viewport. Your people consider it sacred, correct? More than sacred, she said, her voice softening. It's where life began on our world, where the first Marathi emerged from simpler forms. She glanced at him, silver eyes reflecting the blue glow of the vessel's lights. Your equivalent might be your Africa, yes? The cradle of humanity? He nodded, surprised by her knowledge of Earth's evolutionary history. "You've studied us extensively." "I've studied you," she admitted, the patterns along her neck brightening momentarily before settling. "Specifically your research. Your theories on convergent evolution across disparate biospheres are stimulating." The vessel descended deeper, darkness enveloping them except for the vessel's external lights and Naya's gentle bioluminescence. She dimmed her patterns to allow better visibility outside. "There," she whispered, pointing toward a massive formation emerging from the darkness. Ancient structures, half organic and half constructed, rose from the trench floor, a submerged city of sorts. Built in harmony with the living coral, bioluminescent creatures swam through archways and spiraled around towers that seemed to sway with the ocean currents. "The ancestral chambers," Naya explained. "Our most revered scientists study here, communing with the oldest life forms on our planet." As they watched, several Marathi emerged from the structures, their patterns communicating in complex sequences Elian couldn't interpret. Naya responded with her own patterns, apparently requesting permission. "They've granted us access to collect samples from the peripheral regions," she said, an honor rarely extended to outsiders. Later, as they carefully gathered specimens in a small collection chamber, their hands occasionally brushed. Each time, Naya's patterns would pulse briefly, and Elian found himself increasingly aware of the proximity between them. "Your species touches so casually," she observed after their third accidental contact. "Yet each time your bioelectric field intensifies." Elian focused on labeling a sample, avoiding her perceptive gaze. "We're not usually conscious of it. But you are now," she stated simply. He looked up to find her much closer than before, her silver eyes studying him with undisguised interest. She deliberately extended her hand, placing it over his as he held a specimen container. "I can sense your curiosity," she said softly. "It matches my own." The vessel's warning system chimed, indicating their scheduled return to the surface, breaking the moment between them. "We should continue this research tomorrow," Elian suggested, his voice slightly unsteady. Naya's patterns shifted into what he'd come to recognize as her version of a smile. "The research," she repeated, "or this other exploration we've begun?" Elian found himself smiling in return. "Both, I hope." As they ascended toward the surface, Elian realized the depths he was exploring weren't just those of Aquarius 7, but something far more uncharted, the space between two fundamentally different beings who were perhaps not so different after all. Surface tensions. "They're calling it the Aquatic Resources Initiative," Commander Harlow explained, displaying the message from Earth Central on the station's main screen. "A collaborative effort to study and potentially utilize the unique biochemical properties of Aquarius 7's marine life." Elian scanned the document, his unease growing with each paragraph. Behind the diplomatic language lay unmistakable intent. Earth wanted exclusive rights to harvest compounds from the planet's ecosystem, particularly from the cerulean trench. "This contradicts our initial research agreement," he said carefully, aware of Naya standing silently beside him. Her bioluminescent patterns had dimmed to an alarming stillness. "The trench is culturally significant to the Marathi. We can't simply—" "Your concerns are noted, Doctor," Harlow interrupted. "But this comes directly from the Science Ministry. The preliminary samples you and Naya collected show promising applications for cellular regeneration. Earth Central believes this could revolutionize medicine." Naya's voice cut through the tension, cool and precise. "At the expense of our most sacred site, the compounds you seek are produced by ancient organisms that exist nowhere else. Harvesting them would destroy an ecosystem that has existed for millions of years." Harlow's expression hardened. "The proposal includes conservation measures." "Inadequate ones," Elian interjected, surprising himself. "Commander, I request time to develop an alternative approach that respects both scientific objectives and Marathi cultural concerns." After the commander reluctantly agreed to a 3-day consideration period, Elian found himself alone with Naya in the research lab. Her patterns now pulsed with rapid, disjointed sequences, the Marathi equivalent of agitation. "You knew about this," she stated, not a question but an accusation. "I didn't," he insisted, stepping closer. "Naya, you can sense my bioelectric field." "Am I lying?" She studied him intensely, silver eyes narrowing. After a moment, her patterns shifted slightly. "No, your surprise matches mine." She turned away, moving toward the specimen tanks. But your people have deceived mine before. The history books speak of similar initiatives on other worlds. Elian reached for her shoulder but hesitated, his hand hovering inches from her skin. I won't let this happen. Not to your home. Not to you. She turned, capturing his suspended hand with her own. Why does this matter to you, Elian? Your career, your standing. You risk them by opposing this. The answer formed before he could consider its implications. Because in these weeks studying your world, I've come to care for it. And for you. The confession hung between them, unexpected and irreversible. Naya's patterns shifted to a shade he'd never seen before. A deep violet that seemed to pulse in time with his racing heartbeat. Then help me protect it, she whispered, stepping closer until the space between them vanished. There's something I need to show you. Something beneath the ancestral chambers that even most Marathi don't know exists. Her hand tightened around his, cool and certain. It will explain everything. Why Earth really wants access to the trench and why we must prevent it. But once I show you, there's no turning back. You'll have to choose a side. Elian met her gaze, suddenly aware that the boundary between researcher and subject had long since dissolved into something far more complex. I already have, he said simply. Naya's patterns brightened momentarily before she leaned forward, pressing her forehead against his in a traditional Marathi gesture of trust. Then prepare yourself, she murmured. We leave for the depths tonight. Tides of change darkness enveloped the small submersible as it descended toward the ocean floor, guided only by Naya's bioluminescence and the vessel's minimal running lights. They had departed the research station under the pretense of collecting additional samples. But Elian knew they were now fugitives. Commander Harlow had made her suspicions clear when she'd caught them, downloading restricted files about Earth's true intentions for Aquarius 7. How much deeper? Elian asked, checking the vessel's pressure readings with growing concern. We've passed beyond your vessel's rated depth, Naya admitted, her patterns pulsing with determination. But I've modified the shielding using Marathi technology. We'll survive. The words will survive hung between them, carrying more weight than just their immediate situation. If they failed, the consequences would extend far beyond themselves. There, Naya pointed toward what appeared to be a seamless section of the trench wall. As they approached, a previously invisible seam illuminated in response to Naya's bioluminescent signals. The rock face parted, revealing a hidden tunnel large enough for their vessel. They entered slowly, and the entrance sealed behind them. Inside, the tunnel was lined with a biological material that emitted soft blue light. This is older than the ancestral chambers, Naya explained as she guided them forward. What I'm about to show you is known only to our elders and highest scientists. The tunnel opened into a vast underwater cavern where massive crystalline structures rose from the floor, pulsing with their own inner light. At the center floated what appeared to be a living organism, larger than their vessel, translucent and radiating energy patterns similar to Naya's but infinitely more complex. The first one, Naya whispered reverently. The ancestral consciousness from which all Marathi evolved. Elian stared in awe. It's still alive? After millions of years? It exists in a state between life and dormancy, she explained. And it contains within its cellular structure the most advanced regenerative properties in the known galaxy. This is what your Earth Central truly seeks. Not just biochemical compounds, but the genetic key to near immortality. Elian understood immediately. Harvesting it would destroy the living heart of our civilization, Naya finished, her patterns dimming with sadness. The compounds in your samples were merely trace elements from its presence. Earth scientists recognize the potential but don't understand the source. Elian moved closer to her, placing his hand against hers on the control panel. We need evidence to present to both governments. Something that proves the connection without revealing the first one's existence. Naya's patterns brightened slightly at his touch. That's why we're here. The first one can communicate through bioelectric resonance, usually only with Marathi, but she hesitated, silver eyes meeting his. It might connect with you, through me. Through you? A joining, she said softly, of minds, of energy patterns. Temporary but intimate, more than most Marathi ever share, even among ourselves. Understanding dawned. You'd trust me with that? Her patterns shifted to the deep violet he'd seen once before. I already do. She guided his hands to rest against her temples, then placed her own against his. Close your eyes. Feel the patterns, the pulses. They're not so different from your own heartbeat. As their foreheads touched, Elian felt a strange warmth spreading from the contact points, radiating through his consciousness. Naya's patterns intensified, enveloping them both in swirling light. Then suddenly he wasn't alone in his mind. Images flowed between them. Naya's childhood beneath the waves, his years of study on Earth, her first glimpse of the stars from Aquarius 7's surface, his wonder upon seeing her emerge from the water. Memories, emotions, knowledge transferring in both directions. And beyond their shared consciousness, something ancient and vast reached out, touching, examining, understanding. The first one acknowledging them. When they finally separated, gasping, Elian found himself changed. In his mind resided knowledge that would save the first one, evidence of its critical importance to the entire ecosystem, presented in terms Earth scientists would understand without revealing its true nature. "Did you feel it?" Naya asked, her patterns now synchronized with his breathing. Elian nodded, still processing the experience. "Everything. I felt everything." Her hand found his, fingers intertwining naturally now. "Then you understand why I can never let them destroy this place. Why we cannot fail." "We won't," he promised, the certainty in his voice surprising even himself. "Whatever happens next, we face it together." As they ascended toward the surface and the confrontation that awaited, Elian realized that the boundaries between researcher and subject, human and Marathi, had dissolved entirely, replaced by something neither of their worlds had terminology to describe. Convergent currents. The conference chamber aboard the orbital platform hummed with tension. Representatives from Earth Central sat opposite the Marathi elders, with Commander Harlow and her security team positioned strategically around the room. At the center stood Elian and Naya, united despite the invisible line dividing their worlds. "Dr. Nash has committed several violations of protocol," Harlow stated, her voice cold with disapproval. "Unauthorized access to restricted information, misuse of research equipment, and suspected conspiracy with a non-Earth entity." "Conspiracy suggests malicious intent," Elian responded calmly. "Our actions were motivated by truth, specifically the incomplete information provided to both governments." He activated the display system, projecting the modified data they had prepared, complex molecular structures and ecosystem interdependencies that demonstrated how harvesting from the trench would trigger cascading failures throughout Aquarius 7's biosphere. "These compounds cannot be synthesized or harvested sustainably," he explained. "They exist in a delicate balance with thousands of other organisms. Disrupting this system for short-term medical advancement would ultimately destroy the very properties Earth seeks to obtain." The Earth Science Minister leaned forward. "Your evidence is compelling, Dr. Nash, but our preliminary studies indicated viable extraction methods." "Based on incomplete data," Naya interjected, her patterns shifting with controlled intensity. "Data deliberately limited by those who recognized the profit potential but concealed the ecological consequences." She moved closer to Elian, their shoulders almost touching. "What we propose instead is genuine collaboration. Marathi scientists have studied these compounds for generations. We understand their properties and limitations in ways your instruments cannot detect." Elian nodded. "A joint research initiative centered on application rather than extraction. The compounds can be studied in their natural environment, their properties adapted into synthetic alternatives that don't require harvesting." Hours of debate followed, with accusations and suspicions gradually giving way to cautious consideration. Throughout, Elian and Naya remained united, their arguments complementing each other with a synchronicity that didn't go unnoticed by either delegation. As the formal discussions concluded with an agreement to pursue the collaborative approach, Elian found himself standing with Naya on the observation deck, watching Aquarius 7 rotate slowly beneath them, its vast oceans reflecting distant starlight. "They're calling it the Nash-Naya Accord," he said, smiling at the unofficial designation that had already spread through the station. "Though I suspect your contribution was far greater than mine." Naya's patterns rippled with amusement. "Perhaps, but it would never have succeeded without you standing between our worlds." Her expression grew serious. "The Earth delegation has offered you a prestigious position. Director of Xenobiological Research. You'd return to Earth as a hero." "They did," he acknowledged, turning to face her fully. And the Marathi Council has extended an unprecedented invitation for me to continue my work on Aquarius 7. Two paths, she said softly. Diverging. Elian reached out, tracing the luminescent patterns along her arm with gentle fingers. Since their connection in the presence of the first one, he had begun to understand the language of her bioluminescence in ways no other human could, just as she now comprehended the subtle shifts in his expressions and touch. Not necessarily diverging, he corrected. The Nashnaya Accord requires ongoing coordination. Someone would need to shuttle between Earth and Aquarius 7, ensuring the partnership remains balanced. Hope flickered through her patterns. Someone familiar with both worlds, both species. Both hearts, he added, drawing her closer. Your people might not understand, she warned. Even as her hand found its now familiar place against his. They don't need to. Not yet. His forehead touched hers in the Marathi gesture that had come to mean so much between them. Understanding takes time. We've proven that. Beneath them, the oceans of Aquarius 7 continued their eternal rhythm, currents flowing and converging much like the paths that had brought them together. Different origins, different natures, yet moving inexorably toward the same destination. Where do we begin? Naya asked, her silver eyes reflecting both starlight and possibility. Elian smiled, feeling the synchronized pulse of their bioelectric fields, his human heartbeat now permanently, attuned to her Marathi rhythms through their shared connection with the first one. And we already have, he answered simply, as the boundaries between their worlds, like those between their hearts, continued to dissolve into something entirely new. A convergence neither could have imagined, but both now couldn't imagine living without. On the horizon of Aquarius 7, twin moons began their ascent, casting dual shadows across the planet's endless seas, separate lights creating a single, harmonious illumination across the waters of a world that would remain unspoiled, protected by two beings who had found in each other the perfect balance between difference and unity, curiosity and certainty, science and something far more profound.